Hi everyone, this is Luxtos, and today I'm bringing you a very special video. Shaman WeakAuras Phase 2 for patch 8.1. The new patch is live, and that means a lot of changes across all classes. All of the WeakAuras for all 12 classes were updated for patch 8.1, so you can go ahead on wego.io and update your WeakAuras for your class. But Shaman was due for bigger things. A lot of talent changed around, and it was just time that we went ahead and did the Phase 2 for Shaman, so that means brand new WeakAuras, PvP talents, and a lot more. So if you guys are ready, let's get right into it. Before updating your Shaman WeakAuras, you need to make sure that you have the latest version of the add-on itself. Currently, as of the recording of this video, I'm using the latest version 2.10.6. So you need to make sure that you have this version or higher before you import all of your new WeakAuras. Since this is a big overhaul, what I recommend that you do is that you simply click on them, delete children and group. So simply right click, delete children and group. Do that for all 6 Shaman group and simply re-import them as brand new. Usually you can import them over and let the add-on itself update, but since I deleted most of the aura and built them from scratch again, I just want to make sure that everything runs smoothly and that you're not having any issue, right? But for regular update, you don't need to do this. You can simply import them again, and the add-on itself is going to manage all of the updates for all the events and everything. You don't need to worry about this. Right now, what you need to do, update your add-on to the latest version, delete your 6 current group for your Shaman, go on Wego with the link in the description below, import the 6 links, so simply click new, import, and paste the string for all the brand new 6 group, and you're going to be ready to go. Okay, now let's move on to the fun part. We're going to see all of the brand new changes for the WeakAuras for Elemental, Enhancement, and Restoration. So let's get right into it. We're just going to go in combat with the dummy right here. We're going to attack him. We're going to apply Flame Shock, right? So as you can see, we're now tracking the cooldown of Flame Shock as well as the duration. That means that whenever you apply it, you're able to see, can I apply it again? As soon as it becomes saturated, you're aware that you can reapply Flame Shock. So that's pretty handy. You're able to see the value of your Maelstrom here, and as soon as Earth Shock goes fully saturated, you're going to be aware that it has become available. It uses the same amount of resources as Earthquake, so there's no need to have 2 different icons for those. Lava Burst did not change, so it's exactly the same. You're going to get your charges amount, you're going to get your cooldown swipe, and you're going to get your Lava Surge proc, right? Then we have 2 brand new icons here in this rotation group, right? So if you pick Stormkeeper or Ascendance, it's gonna go right over here. But if you pick Elemental Mastery, then it's going to replace that in the rotation group. Currently, we are showing this icon for Storm Elemental because we are into Primal Elementalist. If we go on Ice Fury, for example, let's go for Ice Fury as soon as we drop combat, and Elemental Blast, those are going to be added to the rotation group, right? And those are going to go back into the DPS group. So you're now going to have your Storm LA, Stormkeeper, everything is up here. As you can see, you now have your Earth Elemental in there instead of utility. It's a big cooldown. It can be used for a lot of stuff. It is utility, but it can also be used for some damage output in PvP, for example, and stuff like that. So yeah, so it's been moved here and everything has been cleaned out. So if you change your talent, if you go Echo of Elements, you're going to get 2 charges on Lava Burst. That doesn't change much. If you go Ascendance, you're going to see Ascendance in here instead of being here. And if you go back to your regular spec, let's do that right now. You're going to be able to see everything track regularly. I don't know if you saw it, but when I casted Elemental Blast, we now have a casting bar right over the mana bar. So every time you're casting a spell, you're going to get the name of the spell and the cast bar for that specific spell. If you have your own cast bar or you don't want to get rid of your interface, it's simply to remove. It's only a cool feature for those that have been asking for it. So if you want to remove it, it's really, really straightforward. You can go in here in the resources group. You can go for enhancement, elemental, or even restoration. Go into the second trigger and simply delete it. The first trigger, which is the status cast player, simply delete it, and you're not gonna have your casting bar again, and then you can simply unload. So check never for the cast name here. Do that for both spec, and you're not gonna have any issue, right? So I think this is a neat feature. This is gonna allow you to have a little bit more of a clean interface, and it's gonna be pretty nifty. One of the cool things also is now the main group over here at the top is no longer tracking active buff. So that means that every active buff is going to be tracked over its own cooldown. So that's a little bit more clean. There's going to be less moving auras, moving parts, and that's going to be awesome. At least I like it. I hope that you guys like it. You can leave your feedback down in the comment below. So every time that you use an ability, you're going to be able to see that it is currently in use, and you're going to be able to see it flash right here. And I think it's giving you a proper visual cue that something is going on, right? Okay, so let's remove this little guy. So there isn't much left for elemental. So of course, if you use Surge of Power, every time that you Earth Shock, you're gonna get a Surge of Power icon, letting you know that you should probably use it before casting another Earth Shock, right? So that's gonna go over there. Everything else is going to be pretty straightforward. So let's go to a more regular spec. By the way, this is currently probably one of the best spec you can have right now for elemental. Okay, so that's pretty much it for LA. Of course, now you have all of your PvP talents. So Lightning Lasso, Sky Fury, Grounding, everything is going to be tracked in here. So that's pretty cool. Okay, let's go for Enhancement. As you can see, casting bar is working quite nicely. There you go. Okay, there you go. So now we're gonna go look at this bad boy. Okay, let me remove some PvP talents. Right now, PvP talents are only loading while you are in no instances or arena or battleground. That means that it will only work if you are currently doing PvP or have access to world PvP, right? So that's pretty neat. So we're gonna go to a more regular spec. There you go. So first of all, lightning shield, pretty straightforward, just like it's always been, right? Everything else has changed. Okay, so enhancement got a big overhaul. As you can see, you no longer have rock better and you no longer have lava lash. Where the hell have those gone? Right. The two little bar right here are your rock better charges. They're currently flashing because you're over capping. None of them is in cooldown, and that's a DPS loss. So you should proceed to burning some resources, right? You should proceed to burn resources in order to be able to cast Rock Biter. There you go. As you can see, my Maelstrom bar is changing color, okay? That means that whenever it is orange, you're safely able to press Lava Lash. That means that Storm Strike is on cooldown and that you have sufficient amount of Maelstrom in order to spend it. So what it is tracking is that Maelstrom is on cooldown, Storm Strike is on cooldown, and you have sufficient Maelstrom to burn. There you go. So that's pretty neat. Whenever you can activate Storm Strike, whether it's through a Stormbringer proc or it's just available, the bar is going to go white. And the icon for Storm Strike is also going to glow, letting you know that, yeah, you can cast it, pretty much. Right next to Storm Strike, where they're going to have the information for the most important, Flame Tongue, right? Really important. It's going to track, just like Flame Shock, it's going to track the cooldown of the ability. So that's the first swirl with the yellow bar. That's the cooldown of the ability. And the other swirl is the duration of the buff on yourself, right? So they're pretty close to each other. So whenever this comes back off, you're pretty much going to be in pandemic range every time, right? So it's very close. Right now it's glowing because I'm currently running Searing Assault and it's not on the target. So it's tracking that also. Which brings us to our third bar, which is going to be Searing Assault, Elstorm, or Overcharge, right? So if I pick Elstorm, it's going to track my Frost brand exactly the same way I'm currently tracking this, right? So Now I can proc this, and I'm able to see both of them. This one is not desaturating because it doesn't have a cooldown, but it's going to change color if you don't have enough resources for it. So we're able to track a lot of stuff in the rotation bar right now, which is really neat. Next one is Crash Lightning. So if I don't hit multiple target, it is simply going to go on cooldown. I'm not getting any buff. There's nothing special about it. But if I hit multiple target, there you go. You're tracking the cooldown of the ability and also the duration of the buff itself. So you know when you need to press Crash Lightning again. There you go. So when you're doing AoE, this is going to let you know that you're currently cleaving your targets, which is really helpful as enhancement, right? The last one is going to be Sundering. So it's going to track Fury of Air and the Crashing Storm duration, which might not be 100% relevant, but you're at least going to be able to see if you have the 6-second AoE patch under your mobs or if you don't, right? If you procced it recently or not. So Sundering is going to be tracked. Fury of Air is going to be tracked. Fury of Air is also changing your Maelstrom requirements. So currently, as of this video, if you have Fury of Air active, you only want to Lava Lash at 50. If you don't, it's 40. So that's going to be taken into account if you pick this talent, and also that's going to be taken into account for Overcharge. So if you have Overcharge and Fury of Air. God, that one was harder than I thought. Okay, so let's get back into it. You have PvP talents, just like Elemental. You're tracking everything. If you have Hot End, it's simply going to put an icon over here at the place of Lightning Shield, and you're going to be able to track that, right? So every time it procs, it's going to light up. So instead of moving the icons, every time something procs, it stays there, and you're able to glance at it. Whenever it procs, your bar changes to orange. So if I can make it proc here, we're going to check that out. Whenever it procs, it's just going to light up, and you're going to be able to see that, well, just for the purposes of this video, obviously it's not going to work, right? That's always what happens. Oh, there you go. So it was orange, and the icon was glowing up. So pretty straightforward. Boulder Fist is not doing anything. Totem Mastery is just being tracked. If you are... it's going to track the totem itself, if it's down or not, but it's also going to track the actual buff. So if you're out of range and you don't have the buff, it's going to let you know you should cast it again. Landslide, etc. All that is tracked. Earth Shield and Spirit Wolf are now down here. So you're able to see really quickly at first glance if you have your Earth Shield or not. You can see that it's clearly saturated and it has the little pixel glowing. Spirit Wolf also, nothing is going to be moving. You're going to be able to see if you currently have it or not. So that's pretty cool. If you have your stacks, how many do you have? All of that good stuff. Just like, you know, Elemental that I was showing, now the icon for the active aura are displayed over instead of being in the specific group. So that's pretty neat. If you pick Earthen Spike, it's simply going over here. Nothing special there. We're still tracking which Spirit Wolf you're getting whenever you play Elemental Spirit. So none of that changed. It's just a big overall change for the rotation in terms of Rock Bitter and Lava Lash. So since those, I wanted to clean up a little bit the bar, have a little bit more of the important ability, you know, the big cooldown ability, having less thing over into the specific. So we're now running the Rock Bitter down here, and we're tracking Lava Lash in the Maelstrom bar. So whenever you don't have Storm Strike, so at first glance, you're able to stick, you know, you're able to just look at the fight, and whenever your bar becomes orange, you notice you're able to cast Lava Lash. I think that's pretty neat. You can let me know again in the description if you like this feature or not, if you preferred the old one. I really like this one. I'll be honest, I really like this one. Okay, so let's go into Restoration, which actually I thought would not get too many changes, but the WeakAuras are pretty different, and they're pretty different. So first of all, you can see that this and this did not change. So we're still tracking Riptide, and of course we're still tracking Tidal Wave. We're also tracking the totem, Healing Stream Totem, just like we used to, but we're now tracking if it's available. So you can see that currently it is active, so it's glowing, letting you know that you at least have one out, right? especially if you're playing Echo of Element and you're trying to spread those out, you know that you can spread those out because you're aware if it's active or not. Unleash, very straightforward. Nothing else to add here. You're just casting whenever it's available, and you know when the proc is on you. And I'm currently tracking Ascendance. If I pick Wellspring, I'm going to track Wellspring. If I pick Tide, I'm going to be able to see when my Tide comes. Currently, we don't have the tracking for the mana because it's pretty unreliable right now. It's pretty complicated to track. Some people have done WeakAuras that actually track the value, but I'm actually trying to test it out, and it's not always 100% accurate. So for now, we're not going to have any value. If there ever is a solution that is really, really on point and doesn't make any mistake for prediction, then we're going to implement it. But for now, you're only tracking whenever tides are up, so you're able to see whenever you can cast your OP chain heal, right? So if you go back to these change, so that cooldown are always going to be there. If you pick Undulation, it goes right here. If you pick Torrent, it shows you Mana Tide. So that's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. If you pick Earth Shield goes at the place of Healing Tide, and Healing Tide goes back into its regular cooldown, so that's pretty neat also. Ancestral and Earthen Wall are both being shown here. And Downpour is being showed right here. Cloudburst Totem is now tracking its healing value. So as soon as you get some healing on yourself and not on the totem itself, it's going to let you know how much you've stored in. And that's going to be pretty cool, right? So everything else is pretty straightforward. We have Tidebringer here. If you're playing with PvP talents, we're going to be able to track all of those. So all of the PvP talents are being tracked in here, and you're going to be able to use them, and that's pretty neat. You're probably asking yourself, where is Healing Rain? Well, Healing Rain is this big bar right here. Since Healing Rain is not something you use a lot in PvP, and it's really situational depending on the context, on the gameplay that you're doing, I really wanted to not have it in the core icon here, but it's still very visually representative of whether you have it or not, because it is a really, really important spell to have, right? It's one of the most important spell in the Shaman toolkit for restoration, for healing, and raid. So it's easily tracked. There's a little white bar at the bottom. What is that? This is Purify Spirit. So Purify Spirit, every time that you dispel something, right now I'm not able to trigger it because I don't have anything to dispel, but as soon as you dispel someone, the bar is going to tick back up, and as soon as you see the white bar in your peripheral view, you know that your dispel is available. So I think that's a little bit better than having it up here in the specific. I'm pretty happy about it. You guys can let me know what you think about that. You also have it for Elemental and Enhancement, but it's not always shown. So the way that I do it for DPS spec is to remove a visual cluster, because except if you're doing only PvP, it's not something that you're gonna use very regularly, just like a healer. But as soon as you use the ability, you're going to see the white bar fill up, and as soon as it disappears, you know that you're able to dispel. So that's pretty neat, at least in my opinion. You guys again can let me know if you like this feature. I'm still looking for feedback. Some stuff can change. Right now, I'm loving this. This has been one of my favorite WeakAuras I've ever done, and I'm really proud of the result. I'm really happy to be sharing it with you today, and I hope you guys are enjoying it as well. So I said it would be a short video, but it's been a very long video. So I'm gonna end it here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to support me, you can like this video. You can put a comment down in the section below. You can always subscribe to my YouTube channel. But the most important thing for me, come say hi to me on Twitch. I'm currently trying to achieve partnership on Twitch, and I'm trying to grow my community and everything. I'm having a blast over there. We're making these WeakAuras live on stream. So if you're interested to learn and everything, it's really cool. So I'm streaming at twitch.tv/Luxtos. The link, everything is down below. Patreon, Discord, whatever you want, everything is down there. Wiggle links. So I think I'm pretty much done here. So you guys can get your hands on those amazing WeakAuras, and Until then, I'll wish you good luck in BFA, guys.